The air in Chandi Chowk was a solid thing, a particulate fog of exhaust fumes, frying oil, and the 1,000 ancient spices that leaked from the sacks of 100 different shops. For Rohan, stepping into his grandfather's store, Dev's Divine Masala, was like pushing through a tactile memory. It was the scent of his childhood summers, but now, through his MBA-honed eyes, it smelled of stagnation. "Dada," Rohan said, his voice tight as he held up his tablet. The screen glowed with a brutal red line chart. "The numbers don't lie. We're 6 months from insolvency." Dev, a man whose spine seemed forged from the same resilient wood as his spice racks, didn't look up from the stone mortar where he was grinding a deep red blend. His hands, a map of veins and faded henna stains, moved in a slow, rhythmic circle. The crunch of dried chilies was his only reply. "We need a digital presence," Rohan pressed on, the "we" feeling foreign on his tongue. "An e-commerce platform, SEO targeting the diaspora. We can rebrand, Dev's Divine, Taste of Authentic India. We'll vacuum seal the blends, create subscription boxes." Dev finally lifted his gaze. His eyes, clouded at the edges but sharp as a hawk's at the center, settled on the tablet as if it were a strange insect. "This shop does not live in a machine, Rohan. It lives here." He tapped a finger to his temple. "And here." He pressed the same finger to his heart. "Hearts don't pay the bills, Dada," Rohan said, the frustration cracking his professional veneer. "The world buys online. They want convenience. They want a story." "The story is in the smell," Dev countered, his voice a low rumble. "It is in the weight of the turmeric in your hand, the advice I give with it. You cannot put that in a box." He gestured to the towering shelves, each burlap sack labeled in his elegant, fading script. "What I know, what my father knew, is not written down. It is a song. You change one note and the music is ruined." The confrontation became the rhythm of their days. Rohan, a whirlwind of modern ambition, shot product photos on his phone, the vibrant colors of the spices popping against the dark wood. He talked of influencers and meta tags. Dev, an unmovable monument to tradition, continued his daily rituals. The careful measuring by palmfuls and pinches. The long, meandering conversations with Mrs. Iyer about her son's digestion. The silent communion with his spices. The heart of their conflict was a small sandalwood box Dev kept locked behind the counter. Inside were his secret recipes, the blends that were the soul of the business. The royal garam masala that a 5-star hotel had tried and failed to replicate. The monsoon chai blend that tasted like petrichor and nostalgia. Rohan saw them as intellectual property, the key to scalability. Dev saw them as a sacred trust. "If you would just let me document them," Rohan pleaded one afternoon after a particularly infuriating meeting with a dismissive bank manager, "we could standardize the production, ensure consistency." "Consistency?" Dev scoffed. Gently toasting cumin seeds in a small iron pan over a single coal burner. The nutty aroma filled the space. "The cumin this year is not the same as last year's. The heat, the rain, it changes them. My job is to listen to the spice, to balance it. A machine cannot listen." One evening, defeated, Rohan stayed late. The shop was silent, the chaos of the market outside reduced to a distant hum. He found himself drawn to the old ledger books, their pages brittle and brown. He wasn't looking for numbers anymore. He was looking for his grandfather. Tucked in the back of a ledger from 1972, he found not a recipe, but a faded photograph. It showed a young Dev standing proudly before the same shop, a look of fierce, hopeful ambition in his eyes that was a mirror of Rohan's own. Scrawled on the back, in his grandfather's then bold hand, was a phrase, "Not just to sell, but to sustain. Not just a business, but a bridge." Rohan's breath caught. He had been so focused on saving the business, he had forgotten what the business was for. The next morning, the monsoon broke with a vengeance. The narrow street flooded, and the shop was empty of customers. Dev was at his usual post, but his movements were slow, heavy with a resignation Rohan had mistaken for stubbornness. He was looking at a small blue notebook, his expression unreadable. "Dada," Rohan began, his voice softer now. "I was wrong." Dev looked up, surprised.
"I've been trying to build a website for a shop that doesn't exist online," Rohan continued. "I've been trying to sell a product when what we have is a place, a bridge." He picked up his tablet, but this time he opened a design app. What if the story isn't just about the spices? What if it's about the man who knows them? He showed Dev a mock-up. It wasn't a sterile e-commerce site. It was a digital extension of the shop itself. A blog titled The Spice Master's Diary, with posts Dev could dictate. Why this year's black pepper has more fire, or a remedy for monsoon aches. There was a section for conversations from the counter, anonymized stories of the customers. And for the blends, they wouldn't sell the secret recipes, but curated experience boxes. A small packet of the Royal Garam Masala, paired with a QR code linking to a video of Dev explaining how to toast it to release its full soul. It wasn't a surrender of tradition, it was its translation. Dev was silent for a long time, watching the rain sheet down the doorway. Then he pushed the small blue notebook across the counter. It was filled with his spidery script, not formal recipes, but notes, observations, the song he had spoken of. "The measurements are not precise," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "You will have to learn to listen." Rohan took the notebook. It felt impossibly heavy. "I will, Dada, I will." He didn't see it as a formula to be scaled, but as a language to be learned. The battle was over. The real work, the work of weaving the fragile saffron thread of their heritage into the vast digital tapestry of the future, had just begun. And for the first time, they were working on the same side.